Welcome back to TVB News. The holiday season is right around the corner, but revelers may feel a bit disappointed because a number of festive events may not be held this year. Evelyn Lowe reports.
Christmas in Hong Kong may not be the same this year. Several major countdown events around town may not be held. The Food and Environmental Hygiene Department said it had received an application to hold a countdown event outside Times Square in Causeway Bay on New Year's Eve. But the applicant has now withdrawn the application. Times Square refused to say whether its annual countdown event has been cancelled. As for another popular countdown spot at Canton Road in Tsim Sha Tsui, no applications were received for Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, and the deadline for application has passed. However, the Tourism Board will continue to hold a countdown event and a fireworks display on New Year's Eve. Meanwhile, the Immigration Department expects the number of arrivals and departures to hit 13.59 million during the Christmas and New Year holidays. This will be a 9.8% increase from last year. This Saturday is expected to be the peak period for travelers leaving Hong Kong via the border checkpoints, while December 27th will be the peak period for those entering. Evelyn Line, TVB News.
The Office of the Ombudsman will be reviewing the way leaking or burst private water pipes are repaired. The investigation follows complaints that the government repair mechanism has resulted in fresh water being wasted. Stephanie Choi has more.
The watchdog has received complaints about delays in the handling of leaking or burst private water pipes. This, the Ombudsman says, has resulted in fresh water wasted over extended periods of time. According to the Waterworks Ordinance, the Water Supplies Department should ask owners of faulty pipes to fix any reported leakage within a specified period, or the department would consider cutting off water supply. Preliminary findings by the Ombudsman showed the department would take into consideration whether the leakage affected people's lives and property, as well as the structural safety of the buildings involved. But since the wastage of fresh water isn't an important factor for consideration, the watchdog said it seems the department doesn't have any criteria or method to estimate the amount of fresh water wasted. The Ombudsman said information provided by the Water Supplies Department showed that between 2009 and 2013, about half of the almost 5,000 private water pipe leaks repairs took more than 2 months to complete. It added it was almost impossible to gauge the amount of fresh water lost. The Ombudsman will look into the procedures and efficiency of the department in following up on the complaints and how the department assesses the urgency of repairs. That includes whether the amount of fresh water wasted is taken into account. The Ombudsman will also investigate how the department exercises its statutory power in urging owners of faulty pipes to take responsibility for the repairs. Stephanie Choi, TVB News.
There were emotional moments in the funeral of a senior firefighter killed in a gas explosion at a flat in Shep Kik Mei estate last month. Principal fireman Leung Kwok Kei died on the 4th of this month from the injuries he'd sustained in the blast. He was 49. His funeral was held today at the Universal Funeral Parlour in Hong Kong. Chief Secretary for Administration Carrie Lam and Secretary for Justice Rimsky Yoon were among the government officials attending the ceremony. The funeral procession then proceeded to the scene of the tragedy and the Mong Kok fire station where Leung had served. He was buried at Gallant Garden, the final resting place for government staff who were killed in the line of duty.
A movie meant to be a comedy about the assassination of North Korea's leader was supposed to be one of Hollywood's biggest releases this holiday season. But Sony Pictures just canceled its Christmas Day launch over threats that North Korea would launch attacks should it open.
The CIA would love it if you two could take him out.
Like for drinks?
No. Take him out.
Take out? Like to dinner?
Take him out to a meal?
What was meant to be a funny Hollywood movie is no longer a laughing matter. A comedy titled The Interview is about two journalists recruited by the CIA to assassinate North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. But with the North being extremely sensitive to portrayals of its dictator, the thought of killing him off enraged a group of hackers called the Guardians of Peace. They began one of the biggest leaks of private data in history. In addition to Hollywood producers and actors, it also affected Sony employees. When word got out the movie would still play on Christmas Day, the hackers warned moviegoers would suffer terror attacks. That's when Sony pulled the plug.
And so once it moves into the physical world where you're talking about possible physical harm, then you're right, it was a little bit inevitable that choices would be made.
Christmas holiday movie releases are big money, so this means the threat is real. U.S. investigators have connected the Sony hacking to North Korea and will divulge what they plan to do about it later.
There have been things that have made Hollywood studios change distribution of movies, but nothing like, an attack that may come from a nation state forcing its hand on a movie that is really just a comedy.
Still, those missing the chance to see this comedy are upset. They say if the Guardians of Peace truly stand for peace, they need to lighten up.
You want us to assassinate the leader of North Korea?
Yes.
What?
It's just a funny movie.
I can't do it with that.
Colombia's biggest rebel group announced an indefinite unilateral ceasefire yesterday, provided they aren't targeted by the U.S.-backed military. The Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia, or FARC, made the announcement at the end of the latest round of peace talks in Cuba aimed at ending Latin America's oldest insurgency. Although FARC has declared temporary ceasefires in the past, this is the first time the group has offered to indefinitely lay down its weapons since the 1980s, a sign that peace talks are progressing well. It remains to be seen if the government will accept the rebels' conditions. In the past, the group has used a truce as an opportunity to rearm. Still, the number of rebel attacks has dwindled in recent years, a sign to many that FARC is negotiating in earnest. All right, Tony, over to you for sports.
That's right, we've got some football to talk about. Big wins for Tottenham and Liverpool in the League Cup last night. Spurs got past Premiership giant Newcastle, while the Reds rediscovered their winning ways against Bournemouth.
Liverpool have endured a torrid few weeks, but there was redemption for the Reds in the League Cup.
Liverpool have the lead.
Raheem Sterling was the star of the show, scoring twice to beat Championship leaders Bournemouth 3-1. Their reward is a date with Chelsea in the semi-finals towards the end of next month.
It's taken a long time for us to find rhythm this season, but what has never stopped is the work rate of the players. I mean, and you come to a place like this tonight, it takes character and quality to get through.
Also celebrating a big win last night are Tottenham, who thrashed Premier League rivals Newcastle at White Hart Lane. Nabil Bentaleb scored in the first half, while Nasser Chadli, Henry Kane and Roberto Soldado all scored after the break to seal a 4-0 win for Spurs. They face Sheffield United in the last four.
Meanwhile, at the FIFA Club World Cup in Morocco, South American champion San Lorenzo of Argentina were pushed all the way by Auckland City. San Lorenzo were expected to dominate, but the New Zealand amateurs put up a brave fight, equalising in the 69th minute to go into extra time. San Lorenzo's Matos scored the winning goal to seal a 2-1 win and help his side into the final against Real Madrid. On to some basketball now. Atlanta cruised to a big win at Cleveland to extend their strong run of form in the NBA. The Hawks made it 11 wins from 12 with a 127-98 victory over the Cavaliers. The visitors dominated in the second half of the match after being down 12 points during the second quarter. Reserve guard Shelvin Mack scored a career-high of 24 points for Atlanta, having averaged 3.8 points per game for the season.
And finally, it is time to get your dancing shoes on. Tango fever swept through Vatican City yesterday in celebration of Pope Francis' 78th birthday. Hundreds of couples took part in a mass tango in St. Peter's Square as the Pope greeted them from his Pope-mobile. The celebration was organized by Christina Camerani. She's a dance teacher who spent months sending letters to the Vatican and gathering people on social networks. Francis, the first pope from Latin America, is a big fan of the tango. The dance is associated with Argentina, the Pope's birthplace. And that is a fun wrap of our news.
Thanks for watching. Good night.
Capture full HD video resolution at 60 frames per second. With a tilting flexible monitor and integrated Wi-Fi to create and share instantly. Unleash your inspiration with the 24.3 megapixel FX format DSLR. I am a D750. I am full freedom. I am a Nikon.
Sun Life Financial presents The Weather Report is brought to you by Sun Life Financial.
Good evening. It was mainly cloudy and very dry today. As tonight's situation chart shows, a winter monsoon continues to affect the South China coast. Up until 5 p.m., today's temperatures ranged from 11.9 to 15.8 degrees, and the relative humidity was between 33 to 50%. And the current temperature is 15 degrees Celsius, with the relative humidity standing at 53%. The cold weather warning is now in force. So, Freddie, how's the weather tomorrow? It will be cloudy with some rain and still cold tomorrow, and temperatures will range between 12 and 15 degrees. And expect fine weather over the weekend. Tomorrow morning's air quality health index will be low to high, and the maximum UV index forecast for tomorrow will be about 3. And now to the latest global weather update. Cloudy in Shanghai, showers in Xiamen, and rain in Taipei. Rain in Macau, cloudy in Chengdu, and showers in Guangzhou. Sunny in Beijing, cloudy in Seoul and Tokyo. Rain in Manila and cloudy in Ho Chi Minh. Thunderstorms in Kuala Lumpur and Singapore, rain in Jakarta. Bright in Karachi and Mumbai. Cloudy in Cairo and bright in Nairobi. Showers in Melbourne and Auckland, bright in Sydney. Snow in Toronto and sunny in New York. Showers in Vancouver and rain in San Francisco. Sunny in London, rain in Paris and Amsterdam, showers in Frankfurt and Zurich. And that's the weather. Have a lovely evening.
It was brought to you by Sun Life Financial. Life's brighter under the sun.
Love you, Dad.
If he's arrested, it'll happen soon.
I want you here when the cops come.
It's because I'm Peter's wife. That's why he wants me. There's no better babysitter for a kingpin. The state's attorney's wife.
Open the door!
Did my dad do something bad?
Tonight, The Good Wife at 10:35 on Pearl. The Ring returns.